Rose here, and you're watching THS Wrestling on the Hashtag Show.
Welcome, beautiful people. Welcome to That Wrestling Show on THS.Wrestling. I am your host, Neeson, and I usually have that beautiful, beautiful man next to me named John P. Thrice. But he is off doing, adult duties. But I have some big replacements. I got the guys from Draped in Gold. I got the guys from MACKMANIA podcast on Spotify. I got it's kind of.
That counts.
Kind of. One is an author of Graduation Day, and he's a esports host. The other is a host on every pretty much wrestling promotion that is here in Southern California and beyond. We have Flobo Bryce and Jack Farmer in the building.
Hey, thanks so much for having us, man.
Man.
I don't know, a little put off that you talked about how attractive your other co-host is, and now we're just a couple of schlubs coming to join you. But I guess
have you seen Pingle though? I mean, that's definitely 5-star.
I mean,
that's fair.
Pingle, shout out to Matthew. Yes, Matthew, how you feeling? Because your Packers lost. Go Pack, go, huh? Yeah, go back to the back of the line.
What is this icon? Is that baseball writing? I couldn't tell what that was.
It's probably hopefully it's a letter saying that Barry Bonds should be in the Hall of Fame, and
that's a complex issue. I agree with you, but
I mean, come on, what's up, Ken? No, I mean, agree with me. I mean, everybody should agree. He had his stats way before the allegations that he was certified that should have been in the Hall of Fame.
I agree with you, but if you use that logic, you got to bring in Clemens. I ain't doing that. The
he was never proven he was doing anything wrong, right? Well, if you can't prove it, right? Innocent until proven guilty.
Never proven. So I don't want Alex Rodriguez to go into the Hall of Fame. I don't want anybody that had any sort of allegation to go into the Hall of Fame from this point out, because Barry Bonds did not get into the Hall of Fame, and it's a travesty. And the Rams, they may suck, but I mean, they're about to play to go into the Super Bowl. Anyways, Matthew. But guys, before we get on started to this week of professional wrestling, Flobo.
Yeah, what's up?
You held up a book there.
Oh yeah, man. Graduation day, the memoir, the first time I was sitting at my commencement in college. My commencement speech leader was a guy that worked at a Walmart. I said I could do better. So I went out and wrote my own thing, a couple chapters about my adult misadventures with an actual commencement speech on the end. Things I learned about business and love and just going for it. Available now on Amazon, a graduation day. I want to give you a little bit of time for having me put the book over. Appreciate you.
Oh man, no problem, man. And Jack Farmer.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you have a book in your hand, but I definitely want you. What is that? What is that?
Yeah, I mean, right now, Flobo is holding up right now. If you're watching on YouTube,
what?
The Jack Farmer shirt, which you can get at realjackfarmer.threadless.com. Check that out.
That's a dope. Actually, I'm not lying either. Like, that's a really dope shirt.
I love.
It looks like it's soft. Yeah, DJ and MC. I love the logo in the middle and the headphones. Yeah, I'm gonna have to compliment those.
Everyone should. realjackfarmer.threadless.com. Get yours today.
Let's go, baby. Everyone. But I'm super excited to have you guys on, because we're going to talk about a show that you guys watch frequently and cover weekly, which is NXT 2.0 and NXT UK. But we're going to focus on NXT 2.0. On you guys are covering. I keep saying recover. Maybe because I had a long leg workout yesterday and it hurts to move. So I'm still trying to recover. But you guys cover it on your show every Thursdays, Draped in Gold, live, right? At 1:30. What time is it at?
Yeah, 1:30 Pacific on Thursdays.
1:30 Pacific. So let's talk about NXT 2.0 and its influx into the main roster. Now, guys, if you didn't watch Raw, or you just didn't maybe see all the digital exclusives they put out on the internet, we had a nice appearance from LA Knights. Roderick Strong walking by, and we know that Roddy, Pete Dunne, LA Knights, and Ciampa have been doing dark matches and working main events. Now, to the pecking order of that, Roderick Strong has been losing all those dark matches. Pete Dunne is 2-1, and Ciampa and LA Knight are undefeated. So I would throw this first question to you, Jack Farmer. Do you think these win-loss ratings actually matter in their eventually debut on the main roster?
You know, it'd be interesting to go back and see people before their debut on the main roster and see what the records are of the people who held up on the main roster on their dark matches. I don't think it matters. In fact, I think being able to lose matches on the main roster and still maintain interest is more important than anything else. And I use guys like Sami Zayn as an example of that. That guy loses all the time, but he's on TV week in and week out and is incredibly entertaining. So I don't think losing necessarily means anything one way or the other on these dark matches. But that said, if it was me, I'd want to be the one getting the win.
That's fair now, Flobo.
That NXT UK comment breaks my heart. We think our whole lives in this show. They didn't know they had one. Yes, man. Every Thursday on Peacock, NXT UK. I mean, that's where Gunther came from, and Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne.
Who's that?
Young veterans.
Yeah, Grizzly. Gunther is this guy.
Haley Ray.
Yeah.
His mama named him Walter. I'm gonna call him Walter.
No, apparently he didn't. Today's episode was like,
I know. Yeah, today's episode.
Retcon.
Yeah. I was like, we could talk about Malcolm Bivens all day long. He is my favorite thing on NXT 2.0. But I want to ask you, Flobo, out of those names that I rattled off, who do you think is actually gonna push through that and grab that forbidden brass ring, push through that glass ceiling, and actually make it as a real superstar in the main roster?
It's hard to say because I'm a Pete Dunne guy. There's like a good 2 or 3 guys that I watch in the independent scene that are on the roster, like with Matt Riddle being another one, Jeff Cobb being a third. You kind of like root for them forever. I'm locked in, you know. But you're talking about what is needed for the main roster: the face on the production truck, the souvenir cups. I need you to do a promo this week, your own talk segment the week after, maybe a match, a main event. It has to be LA Knight. There's no one that has that experience, no one that has that investment in your contract versus age on mileage on him to use him now. It has to be LA Knight. Yeah.
Wow. Look, Matthew agrees with you as much as I despise the guy, LA Knight. Now, Matthew, I'm going to just take you a peek behind our little pre-production meeting. I despise him too. Okay. I think LA Knight as the character, he is the Rock and Stone Cold had a baby and he's just up there like, yeah. Instead of saying hell yeah, he's just like screaming yeah, and then that's the fact of life. And he actually said that's the bottom line on last week's NXT 2.0 in ring, and I was just like, wow, that's you're just treading the line, huh? Just go ahead and ride it.
But you're saying like it's a bad thing. I mean, if you told me you're gonna get a wrestler that's a combination of Stone Cold and The Rock, I would say print money.
And I feel like Homegirl saying she's the boss is kind of repetitive, but it works for her. It's part of her brand.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You said who? You said who?
Yeah. When Sasha
who?
Banks calls herself my biggest gripe about Sasha Banks, forget about skill, forget about star power, because she has all that, is the fact she calls herself a boss and does nothing boss-like. Right. And so when she says, I'm the boss, I always roll my eyes. I hear boss time, I roll my eyes. What is the difference between that and someone having a catch? Poor Jack. Jack didn't deserve this. Jack did not deserve that at all. But what I'm saying, Neeson, is that you don't like him. That's why those things annoy you. And for some people, it can be great.
Okay. There's so many things here. First of all, The Rock, are you saying, Jack, to you, The Rock and Stone Cold to print money? Let's talk about that one first. Look, you're my twin. I appreciate you. We're always agreeing on things. This one thing, though. This one thing. I will agree with LA Knight being that guy if it wasn't the Splendor version of those guys that I mentioned. They're the Splendor knockoff version of that. Now, the boss, Sasha Banks, is not the Splendor knockoff version of anything. She is what she is. She is the boss, the blueprint, the standard, the GOAT, the queen of the sale, the DDT, Mandalorian. Sasha Banks, that's what she is. Like that. It's nothing. Like, what is LA Knight, right?
You're combining points.
I'm sorry, what?
You combine the points. The points I was saying about catchphrases. The whole Splendor thing is a whole other issue. I disagree because The Rock and Stone Cold don't wrestle anymore. But the catchphrases, you can't knock him for having a catchphrase. That's just,
I don't mind if you take it and elevate it. I don't care about the catchphrase. I care about how you're mimicking the catchphrases, right? You see what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't care if you said, because LA Knight said so, but you literally can't say it in the same connotation and same the same actual tone as an Austin, just like a half step slower. And I don't mean slower in pace.
I mean, you say a line, and he said it once, right? Or he doesn't say it all the time. He just said that one time, right?
I think so.
You're talking about the bottom line. Well, he says it. He definitely says it, but he always, again, he says like lines around it, right? Like it's usually like and that's all I got to say. He doesn't say about that, and he says and then the thing always just gets me.
It's not an insult.
You said what?
I mean,
it's not an insult. It's a fact of life.
Yeah, that's
right. Yeah, I mean, the fact that we have, but see how we have all these things. It's so easy to pull from and say.
You're right.
These are the things that are going to resonate with crowds. Those are the things that are going to get people saying, instead of saying yes and what, they're going to say yeah once
or
it
woo
gets going. The thing about LA Knight that I think really gives him a high ceiling on the main roster isn't just that he can talk on a microphone or he has the look or he can wrestle. Honestly, it's the fact that he can survive looking stupid. The fact that he can do silly things and goofy things and still come out on the other side of it looking like a star instead of looking like an idiot is what sets him apart from a lot of people. And I think that on the main roster, that's what you have to be able to do. You have to be able to go through those times where you say suffer and succotash. You have to be able to go through those times where you get dog food dumped on your head. You've got to go through those times where you get thrown through a cake. You know, you've got to be able to survive these kind of things and still come out a star. And I think he can do that better than just about anybody can right now.
And now I really can't disagree with that. Dudes in the WWE 2K online matches cut the same promos as LA Knight.
Well, that's not true.
He hasn't said anything about my mom.
By the way, I just want to put this on wax. You have a cordial invitation that is consistently open with a revolving door to get all the smoke from me and Pingle once the new 2K drops. I said it on Twitter, so I'm just saying that right now. We want all that draped in gold. We want all that MACKMANIA. We want all that graduation day. We want all that DJ Jack Farmer, host of every single wrestling promotion, smoke. Get your t-shirts at Threadless. Be careful what you wish
for. Be careful what you wish for, because when we come in, when we play, I'm not playing just to have fun. I'm playing to win.
Do you think
you want all the smoke? I don't think you can handle it.
Seth, am I being involved in this?
You are. And I'm not tagging in. You're doing all the work.
That is such a brand. This is a walk away spot. Yo, Jack, I need you.
It ain't my fault, guys. It ain't my fault. That's just putting it out there. That was just, I had to make sure we make that clear so you hear it.
Can we coexist, Jack? Can we?
No. That's the tag team. That's the name right there. Coexist. Can't wait. March, guys. I really can't wait. We have it at the Neff Studio Lounge, and we're filming, just run all the smoke. I want all the commentary, pundits, journalists, everybody. Samra Sap, get your tall ass down here too. You can get it.
Yes.
Moving on, guys. I really want to talk about my favorite pay-per-view of the year, which is Royal Rumble. And we could talk about Royal Rumble predictions, but I really want to get more specific. And I want to know, who do you think on the men's side and on the women's side are going to be the big surprises? Now, I would say on the men's, there are only 8 spots left. And then for the women's, I mean, there's more. I can't remember. I think there's like 12 that haven't been announced. But I want to know a couple of surprises. And I want to know, who do you think is going to win the Royal Rumble for the men's and women's? And I want to start off with Flobo first.
I'll talk about surprises. I think Johnny Knoxville's going to get 2 eliminations. That's the over-under. It's 1.5 eliminations for Johnny Knoxville.
Do you honestly think he's going to get 2 eliminations?
Absolutely.
Does himself count? If he eliminates himself, does that count?
Does that count?
I mean, I think officially it does, but I don't count it for this. No, I think yes, he was eliminated. Yeah, but I think he takes 2 eliminations, but I don't think it's gonna be a lot of like big legendary surprises. There's a big looming thing about Impact. I don't think that there's gonna be so many people coming from the men's side. You might get one of those. My guess would be Chris Bay if they're gonna go that direction, but I really feel like everyone's pretty much self-contained here.
Really?
Yeah, I agree. I don't know I think if we get any surprises that aren't currently signed, it's going to be people who were formally signed. So I think it'll be someone like, I think a big surprise would be someone like a Braun Strowman coming in for a one-off. I think the big surprise I'm going to put down though as my official pick is just Elias returning.
You know, that's a very interesting pick because I've really been thinking about him for the last couple of days. Like, man, they really just because like they really just like burned his like gimmick and like they buried it, and he's just been gone. And then you have Rick Boogs on there with Jeff Jarrett on Friday Night SmackDown. Yeah,
Boogs did it better. Elias had a 3-year head start. And to be honest with you, if he was that good, then they would have rode with it. But then something that fell off the wheels, got traded back and forth, had a feud with Jeff Hardy and lost that feud, even though it wasn't his fault. And somehow Jackson Riker beat him twice.
I don't think it's a fair comparison. I think they both have guitars, but I don't think it's a fair comparison. Because Elias was coming out there as a competitor / not competitor, where right now Boogs really is just the entrance guy for Nakamura and sometimes tag team partner. So I think the expectations are different. When you're in the ring with John Cena and The Undertaker and all these things like Elias is, your expectations are different than you're there to stop Madcap Moss from interfering.
See,
Madcap.
The
man with the most secure pants in wrestling. I mean,
my God. Well, actually, my big surprise, which I honestly think can happen, is Jon Moxley. Like, I think somebody, if it's gonna be somebody from AEW, which talk about Forbidden Door, because I honestly don't see anybody from Impact unless it's Matt Cardona. But even that isn't a big splash per se. Like, I think a big splash would be somebody like a Mox, Daniel Bryan, Chris Jericho. Right? Like those 3 people that are, they could talk as much crap about Vince all they want to, but they still love him and they're still going to keep in touch with him. And it's still going to be an open door policy for each one of those 3. I would see that being the big splash. And plus with Roman and Rollins main eventing, most likely, and them mentioning Mox both twice in one show, not once like it was a slip up. You had Pat McAfee say it, you had Seth Rollins say it in the middle of the promo. I wouldn't be surprised if Mox shows up. And my actual pick for the men's Royal Rumble is Big E, because only because of my heart. Because you can't just do what you did to that man in a title ring and just leave him high and dry, and then you basically Kofi Kingston him like all over again. You can't do that.
I feel though.
I mean, you can. But I
feel like if anyone else wins that Rumble, then that's a built-in story. Then, if I'm thinking long-term booking, is that really WWE strong point? But I have WrestleMania and I have my 2 titles. I can have someone else win the Rumble and then have Big E say, "Hey, look, we're going to Saudi Arabia. Let's settle this." That just have the extra feud built in. That's why I think someone else will win it. But I'm not trying to kick Big E out the top of the card.
I love Big E and I would love to see him win, but there's this part of me that the WWE loves to do this thing where they just have people lose again and again and again and again and again, and then they give them one big win, and we're supposed to forget about everything that happened before that. You can see it with Queen Zelina, who lost for a year and then wins the Queen's Cup, and we're supposed to forget that she spent a year losing. I feel like they're doing that. That would be what they're doing with Big E, is like, hey, he lost all this time while he was the champion, but hey, he won the Royal Rumble. Do you want to see him be champion again? I just saw that. If we're going to do that, I'd rather see someone else at this point. Now I want Big E to eventually get back there, but this would feel a little bit like a nothing you just watched matters. Let's just start over, which I hate.
as much as you say WWE does long-term booking as their star point, they do that. Nothing what you just watched matters. Let's start over.
I said
You
not
know?
a strong point. Not.
Oh,
was
they
agreeing with
said
you.
so. I'm like,
no,
like,
no, it's not a strong point. I'm literally saying it's not. Yeah.
and I mean, but I that makes me believe even more, right? That it will be Big E, because it's like, okay, well, let's just hit the reset button on Big E. Let's give him his big moment in front of in front of 85,000 people. But I guess I would say, if it's not Big E, who do you guys see walking out being the Royal Rumble winner on Saturday for the men's?
Jack, hit him.
AJ Styles. He's going to use that farmer strength. That's how he's going to win it. And
they don't want none.
They don't want none. I think that AJ Styles is a guy we all see as a world champion type guy, but he's been far enough away for a long enough time that a win in a Royal Rumble would feel special for him. Also, the fact that he debuted at the Rumble would make this feel very special as well. Also, we haven't seen him face this version of a Roman Reigns, or this version of a Brock Lesnar, or this version of many of the guys that would be in that title picture come Mania. I think not only would it be amazing, it would feel box office, and it would be fun to watch and fresh. I think it'd be big all around.
Flobo,
I'm with Jack here, man.
AJ Styles.
AJ Styles, for a bunch of reasons, the company loves him, and he is one of the few examples of being someone who made their hay outside of the WWE system and found a way to make it work inside the system of WWE. He's been there. He's been a workhorse. I think he had like one calf injury the entire time his run there. He was with Omos for a long time. Whether you like Omos or not, he's part of the regular cast of Raw. He went down to NXT, got the little quick win from Grayson Waller, helped out Waller with that. Comes back, and now his last 2 weeks entrances are like a different presentation. If you're talking about momentum, this year more than ever, there's so many people it feels like it has zero. It feels like we're heading into this Rumble cold. But AJ is the only one I can say, week over week, the past, I'll say 4 or 5 weeks, it looks like he's building towards something.
And to just piggyback on what Flobo's saying, I know we just talked about like long-term storytelling and stuff, but there are so many people that I think, the ones that do seem like they have the momentum, that don't feel like they're set. Like I could see a Riddle or a Randy Orton winning, but they're in the middle of a 3-week, whatever it is, academia-thon. I can't remember what they call it. But, so it'd be weird for like Orton to win the Rumble and then on Monday go and do a spelling bee. You know, that doesn't make sense. But also you look at Omos and AJ, and they ended that abruptly. Like they could have built that up to Rumble. They could have had their blow off at Rumble or something like that. But they ended it abruptly, and I think it's because they have something big planned for AJ, and they needed to get him away from that so he could pursue that. And I think that this might be it.
Okay, and look, you make some valid points here. I just really want to touch on what Matthew said. Big E is eliminating Kofi on Sunday. So, guys, new to the show, Matthew continuously wants the New Day to turn on each other and to turn heel, and I just say down with Matthew every single time. They don't have to turn on each other. Big E is not turning heel. Kofi's not turning heel. It just won't happen, Matthew. It won't. But to your points about AJ, you're right. As much as I want to just despise that idea, not saying I hate AJ, because I do. I love AJ. I think I know it does, right? But I love AJ, man. I think he's all the things that you said. But I think because I seen it once the Omos thing broke up as well, I'm like, okay, he has nowhere to go. They're basically just like he's flailing until Rumble, which everybody does when they Money in the Bank, unless you call your shot. But usually they have him flail and lose, and I'm like, okay, he's gonna win the Rumble. But my thing is, who do you fight at WrestleMania? Like, who's that person? Is it gonna be Bobby Lashley? Like, is it gonna be Roman Reigns? Is it gonna be Rollins? Right? Mm-hmm. Like, who is that guy that makes it a marquee match on 85,000, one night, and then 85,000 another night, that makes you say, "Oh my God, I have to watch AJ Styles versus this person in the main event of WrestleMania"? who is that person for you?
Are you asking me, or is it
I'm asking you.
You're asking if AJ Styles, one of the more premier athletes ever to do it, who's going to be his matchup here? Someone that can
Who's going to be?
I can tell you the package right now. The answer is it doesn't matter who, because here's someone that came in the business
Speaking
and said,
of stealing lines from
"Yeah, exactly,
Right.
man. Put myself over, man." You know, tell Jack Farmer today. Here's somebody. I came in 5 years ago this month. Everyone said I couldn't do anything. Who retired the Undertaker? Who did? Who basically put John Cena out the passion the last time? It was one thing I haven't had my WrestleMania moment built in. Is it Roman Reigns? I'm buying tickets. Big E, if it's at Elimination Chamber, I'm buying tickets. Brock Lesnar, Bobby Lashley, all these guys make sense for this dude. It is definitely the closest thing to a safe bet if you're writing for this about how to make this story a marquee matchup.
To your point, though, Neeson, this has to be. You guys can disagree with me, I guess, but this is the most unpredictable Rumble I can remember.
Yes,
there's literally not a single person. Even as I'm talking about how it's going to be AJ, I have no idea. I feel like it's such a coin flip, no matter who it is. And as you mentioned, who are they going to face? You look at the Brock Lesnar match and the Roman Reigns match. So much depends on how those matches go and how the Rumble goes. And then you think about, you've got Elimination Chamber along the way. I can't remember ever being like, this is the most wide open field ever. There's usually like 4 people that you're like, okay, it's one of these 4 with this one person being the heavy favorite.
Mm-hmm.
This one, I don't know, it could be Big E. It could be Kevin Owens. It could be Kofi Kingston. It could be anybody. I have no idea. I mean, Brock could lose and then get in the Rumble and then win the Rumble. I don't know. It could be anything.
Please don't say that. They may hear you. Don't. Please don't. Yeah. Please.
I love Brock. I hope that doesn't happen. Also.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, please don't have that happen. But yeah, I think that's the thing, right? We think it's 2 nights, so we have to think about at least, what is that, 8 major matches, 4 across each night, right? And at least 2 of those have to be men, and then 2 of those have to be women. So if we jumping over to the women's side, I think we're looking at that as well. Now, we all hear the rumors, the speculations about Ronda Rousey coming back. Ronda Rousey, Rowdy, Little Rowdy, Triple R, RRR. Coming back. And of course, you look at that and you say Becky versus Ronda 1-on-1. That's your one night main event. It's easy. Book it. It's what it is. But I ask you, Flobo disagrees. Give me that face. I ask you, does Ronda need to win the Royal Rumble to actually make that happen? Number 1. And number 2, who do you have winning the female Royal Rumble?
I hate to say this because it was history. And WrestleMania 35 proved to me why the call came to Charlotte Flair. Because Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch have certain skills. This don't jive well together. Now, you can put that match on any post or any pay-per-view. It'll print money. No doubt in my mind. But it's not going to be an enjoyable one. It's not going to be a barn burner in that way. So to answer that first question, yeah, you can do whatever you want. If Ronda Rousey's in the Rumble, I hope she wins it. I don't think that's the case. I think Bianca has a very good chance to repeat. My official prediction is Rhea Ripley. Again, very similar to AJ Styles, broke up with the tag team, came out as a face, has a story of 2 years ago during the pandemic, dropping the NXT title against Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. That's why I feel she'd be the one to win it. But Ronda doesn't need to win it. She's already an attraction. she could jerk the curtain and it's already going to make news headlines.
Yeah.
So something I've noticed about this is we're talking about all these matches at Royal Rumble. We always talk about how SmackDown is the A show and it's a great show, and it is. But you notice every single match at the Royal Rumble has a Raw competitor involved in it.
Yeah.
Even the
because they need it.
It's fascinating to me that I think most people would say the better show is SmackDown, but here we are at one of the biggest shows of the year, one that everyone is super excited about, and it's basically a Raw show. Raw with Roman Reigns involved.
You're not lying, but I would say this before you get to your point about I would just say Raw more so needs that attention from Royal Rumble than SmackDown. SmackDown, for some reason, it's its own like self entity, like lives on its own ecosystem. It literally doesn't need a pay-per-view. It could live on its own in whatever faction it'll be. Yeah, without Raw, without any, big major pay-per-view. So as you're right, it's just that Raw needs all the attention.
Mm-hmm. There's more Raw competitors in the match itself. Looking at the roster list, only 5 SmackDown competitors have been announced. So,
wow, that's interesting. That
Sheamus, Happy Corbin, Madcap Moss, Sami Zayn, and Kofi are the only SmackDown.
And none of those are winning.
I know, and I love Sheamus. Yeah.
Madcap.
Yeah, Madcap. Yeah, I mean Madcap for the chip, man. What's up?
Put his suspenders on and like on a poster.
Takes it off and points to the side.
Right.
But yeah, as far as Ronda Rousey and her potentially winning the Royal Rumble, I don't like this. I don't deal in rumors and I don't deal in potential things until she's announced. I don't predict her as a winner. In wrestling, there's too many times we get worked up over what we hear, what's being reported, what could happen, and then it doesn't happen, and we get all crabby about it until it's announced. I assume she's not in it, and that's why I don't pick her to win it.
So who do you pick?
I pick Bianca Belair. I think she has to win it at this point, to be honest. After everything that happened at SummerSlam, after the fact that Becky Lynch has just been dragging her over that for months and months and months, if she doesn't find a way to get that back, then it's very detrimental to her.
I have a question, or I have a statement. And I'm not saying I want this to happen because I'll be upset. But if Naomi wins the Rumble, will that finally give us a story beat? Because this thing's been repeating for like 6 months. Like there has been no progression in this thing at all.
You know what? I have a video coming out this week about this whole Naomi and Sonya thing, and I would just say this. They have really, really tried to make Naomi the Daniel Bryan of the women's division today. The only issue is that it is not Vince, it is not Triple H, it is not Stephanie McMahon, it's not even Shane McMahon that's coming out and saying these things that the company feels about said wrestler. It is Sonya Deville, a competitor that we thought could actually headline events after that turn on Mandy that she did, back in 2 years ago during our last year. Can't even remember, but during the Thunderdome era, right? Like when her and Mandy had that match, had one of the semi-main event at SummerSlam. Like we're not looking at Sonya as a GM. We're looking at Sonya like, yeah, when are you gonna wrestle? All right, like when is this gonna wrestle? So you coming out saying these things is just saying, okay, are you gonna wrestle or not? Right? It's not coming out saying these things representing the company like a Stephanie McMahon or like a Vince or like even a Triple H did when he was strictly the authority of going against Daniel Bryan. So that's just so you're dragging the story for 8 months. This is like, it feels like
absolutely
like months, and we're not invested in it. And it sucks because if she did win the Rumble, that could be the cap of the story, right? It's like, you held me down, boom, I end up winning the Royal Rumble. Now it's no way, Charlotte, no way, Sonya, you could hold me because I earned my spot. That would be an amazing story.
I think the story that struggles for me is, to your point, it's been long, but it also doesn't feel like it necessarily escalates or go anywhere. It's just the same repeated beat. If this was something that had slowly been escalating each month even, and it felt like it was getting to a boiling point, and then, because that was one of the great things about like Vince and Stone Cold, that's what we're going to compare it to. And Vince would be like, I'm going to fire you, but then he wins the Rumble and he's like, I'm contractually obligated to keep you. It sucks, and they would do those things where this is literally just like, for some reason, Sonya doesn't like her, and they kind of half explained it, but like there was never an explanation. The explanation eventually was kind of like, okay, but also even the other GMs don't really know what's going on. Adam Pearce is like, okay, I guess you don't like her, but I'm not going to get involved. It doesn't feel like he even thinks it's that important. If he thought it was important, he'd be like, listen, Sonya, we're going to take action against you. And like, there'd be more to it, but it doesn't feel, it feels like like an IKEA storyline. Like all the pieces are there, but it just needs to get put together a little bit better.
Tell me that. Now I'm always confused. Help. Help.
What do I do with this screw?
Why are there extra pieces? I don't know what to do with these.
Accurate.
I honestly think whoever packs the IKEA packages somewhere in like Dutch, whatever, like just they don't even count. They're just like, nah, I'm gonna fuck with them.
Yeah. They do it on purpose. They like, just throw in a few extra things. Throw in a piece that's not supposed to be there.
I think so. I mean, it's interesting that you bring that up with Naomi because Charlotte is in the Royal Rumble as a champion, right? Last time we seen that they made Roman Reigns defend his title through the Royal Rumble. Well, defend his title, right? Through the Royal Rumble. That's when we had AJ Styles, debut, but then eventually, Triple H comes out and he gets eliminated, but that's how we had Triple H versus Roman Reigns. Do you see us that's how we get to Charlotte's WrestleMania main event opponent? Because there's no other way we could get there besides.
I really thought it was a spackle job. It was like, oh man, we don't have the bodies. And how do you have Charlotte Flair not in a feud and not in the Royal Rumble? Like she deserved that pay-per-view bump. So I give her credit, or I give the character credit for saying I'm going to be in this match and I get to handpick my opponent because Charlotte has done that before, giving Mia Yim the first title defense, but she was the NXT champion. But it definitely was like oh crap, we got to use Charlotte. Like how you had to use Brock Lesnar day one, you have to use Charlotte. Like why would you not have her? Why would you have her on the bench if she's ready and able to go?
Now, I think the women's Royal Rumble will benefit the most out of getting a surprise entrance. So I would ask you across the board, who do you want to see? Not who you heard all those things, but who would you want to see walk through that parallel portal, walk through whatever you want to call it, but who would you want to see show up in a WWE ring on the women's side doing a Royal Rumble? Let's start with you, Jack.
Yeah, personally, there's actually a lot of people right now that feel like they could be good fits here, but I'm going Santina Marella. No, I'm joking. I'm gonna go.
The conviction, bro.
Oh, yeah.
That was
my eyes was like, what?
I'm going. I want to see Asuka return. I don't know where she's at in her recovery, but I'm such a big Asuka fan. She's been gone for so long, and I think that regardless of what division she goes in, which brand she goes to, having the Empress of Tomorrow back on the main roster would be beneficial. It would be great to see her. I want to see Asuka return.
Yeah, Asuka. I actually forgot about Asuka. I apologize, Asuka. Please don't get mad at me. But I was saying Bailey. I'm an ex-UK person, so I love Stevie Turner. Hope she comes over, but if she doesn't, Thunder Rosa from AEW. That is someone I think can fit in that system, right? We talk about how do we have people fitting in systems with WWE. Thunder Rosa can do it because not only she has the ear of the wrestling enthusiast, she is a colorful enough personality that you can put that on a souvenir cup.
Thunder Rosa versus Banks is like my dream match, and I was praying that she went to WWE just for that match alone, because like you said, she's colorful enough to be able to sell a match, and the way she's like just hard hitting in a ring and the way that Banks sells, I just thought that match would just be so good. So that'd be amazing to actually see, but of course, Banks isn't in a Rumble. I like Roxy, and I know that Matthew said it in a chat. I think she lost her ROH title, but I do think she could be a major player in the WWE Women's Division and pretty fast. And I know you said Asuka. It's funny that you said Asuka, and the first thing I thought about was her being Io Shirai's Dusty Cup woman's partner.
Now that was the other. Asuka wasn't Io Shirai's partner. It was,
no. I'm talking about this year. So guys, on this edition of 2.0, Zoe Starks said, "Hey, I can't be your partner because my leg, I'm all messed up. You need to find a new partner." And then Tiffany, whatever her name is, came out and was like, "Oh yeah, well, you don't need a partner, you need to beat me," and Io Shirai trashed her. And
that's
so
kind of fun to watch.
yeah, which fair. And so I was like, yo, this is the perfect time to get that beautiful tag team that I think that people have been dreaming about with Io Shirai and Asuka, dating back since their time in Stardom, right? I believe.
Yeah.
So so I just think I was like, yo, if we're doing the main roster helps the up and comers or whatever the case may be, then this is that time. Have Io Shirai and Asuka in the Royal Rumble. Have that tag team and then go beat a Dusty Classic.
Are we talking about the Kabuki Warriors too? Is that what we're talking?
I mean, because Kairi Sane was a go between. She was a Sky Pirate and a Kabuki Warrior.
She was a Sky Pirate and a Kabuki Warrior. That's something I definitely will want to see.
The Sky Warriors, maybe. The Sky Empress.
Sign up. That's a T-shirt. Print it.
I do want to say real quick though about Roxy. Is Roxy like the hottest free agent right now in women's wrestling?
That's like so.
Yes.
It seems like her stock just went through the roof over the past few months.
You know what it was? It was that tryout. Like I think people knew Roxy, but it was when she went to that tryout and like the news got out, she was at that tryout. I think everybody started to, because that's when I really started seeing more of her across my feeds. Her and the twins. The girl twins. I can't think of their names right now.
Renegade?
Yes. No, it's with the Knox Pro. Oh, it's gonna bother me. I'll look it up.
Yeah, but those two acts since that tryout, I feel like have benefited from like the internet getting whiffed of that. And Roxy she's taken. I'm so happy for her because I feel like that she is the top women's talent. I mean, everybody else is signed up, right? I would love to see Deonna Purrazzo hop in. I would love to see anybody else you could name. I would love to see Chelsea Green come back and hop in and actually get like a legit, just a legit 5 minutes of run. So just to say, we're sorry. Here's your 5 minutes and go off.
You know what's fascinating to that point, though, is on Wrestling Inc., we were talking about, it's been reported that apparently the Inspiration, former Iconics, were offered a spot in the Royal Rumble and they turned it down. But that now makes me think what other stars have been let go in the past that might get an offer, like a Nia Jax or Chelsea Green or many other people. It's possible that there are tons of people who are recently released that could be in the Royal Rumble if that news is true about the Inspiration.
I mean, especially in the women's division. I mean, I'm upset every time they release a woman, like a woman wrestler, just because I'm just like, you have no room to. Like, who are gonna fill those spots? I mean, yeah, you're gonna have Tiffany, whatever her name is, come out and just to no reaction in front of 50,000 people, or you could invite somebody like I know Mia Yim most likely isn't coming back, but you can invite somebody like a Mia Yim to come back that people on the internet that have been clamoring for. You could invite some Ember Moon could, come back if whatever the case may be. Like, these are people that could actually give some pops and give some runs. So yeah, it's very interesting to see who will take that offer up and who would just be like, nah, we'll pass.
It'd be tough. You'd have to really check your own ego in that spot, I think. I mean, I don't know what it was like to work for the WWE and be released and then get offered a chance to come back for a one-off, but the emotional turmoil that must come from that, obviously being on a huge stage, obviously getting a payday, but also going back to the place that released you, it's got to be an interesting thought process to go through when that phone call comes in, if that phone call comes in.
I mean, they released Bad Bunny just to have Oli J perform on
released.
I don't think they released.
Hey, listen, Benito, it's not working out. You're not a draw anymore.
Okay. But since we're talking about Rumble and we talk about winners and losers, one match that I do want to just speak on and the build to that is Roman versus Rollins, brother versus brother. Shield member versus Shield member.
Yeah.
So Flobo, was that a you had a thought? What was going to be what?
I was doing ones.
Oh, we the
Again,
ones. Oh,
day
yeah.
one really like shifted the landscape. So as a wrestling fan, it is confusing as heck to know what are they doing. But as a comic book fan, this was like the annual. This was like the one issue where things is crossed over. And I would love to be excited if I wasn't old and jaded, right? But Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns is something we would have happen in our heads all the time. And now
Yeah.
you have this element of like post Dean Ambrose world where Roman Reigns is the tribal chief, Seth Rollins is wearing suits or something, but they're both in different levels. And to see them combine now at this stage of their career, I mean, this may be an all-time classic if given the time.
Yeah,
Well, you're gonna get the time. Go ahead, Jack.
No, I think this is incredible. I'm so excited about this. I think that right now, obviously Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, is on a different level. He's so good right now. And I think that Seth Rollins, he is also on another level right now that I think is, this is my favorite Seth Rollins. And I think that he's got that sort of maniac side to him that something about Roman Reigns. It's crazy for as dominant as he has been. And this might be the most dominant run I've ever seen in my life. Somehow, every time he has a match, it feels like he's facing the one person that might be able to beat him every single time. And it feels like right now, Roman Reigns is like that Thanos, and Seth Rollins is the one person that's crazy enough to might be able to find a way to beat him. This is a huge matchup. This Rumble, by the way, has WrestleMania vibes to it. This whole show is just incredible. Every single match on here is like I want to see. It's incredible.
Crown Jewel level even.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
I mean, Crown Jewel level. There's Crown Jewel WrestleMania. There's levels to this.
Yeah.
Death, taxes, and Seth Rollins beat Roman Reigns every single time. Those are the three things that you could count on. And to that point, I think it's something about Roman. And the reason why sooner or later we're gonna have to start talking about, hey, are we sketching them on the side of that mountain?
Yeah.
And because, like you said, this is the most dominant run in our lifetime. But I wouldn't even say that because we've seen Brock do it, but we haven't seen Brock do it and show up to TV every single week. Mm-hmm. We haven't seen Brock do it and actually make his opponents look formidable. Right? Cena did it, but at the end of the day, we still knew that Cena was gonna win. Like it was like, okay, yeah, you're gonna win. But he's still in the match, you still felt like whoever was gonna win. It's something about Roman that when he stands in front of these people, it's like, this may be it. And to me, I start feeling like that last Royal Rumble with KO. And we all knew it was no chance that KO was gonna win that, but you just felt like, yo, they could give KO could win for a couple of months and Roman could get it back by Mania, like that sort of thing, right? And I think we're looking at Rollins and we're like, hey, Rollins is on another level. Mm-hmm. He could win this. He could win this and lose this at WrestleMania, Crown Jewel, and then end up having a fantastic match at WrestleMania Dallas. It's a high chance that could happen. So I want to toss to you both. Who do you think is going to win?
Well, I want to say about the idea of the storylines, right? So it's good now. It's one of the best stuff we've seen in a while, but it's maybe an all-time story. And I think comparing it to Austin McMahon, because I know like the authority and the McMahon-Helmsley regime is all derivative. What made Austin McMahon work, I think what made Roman work, is the secondary cast of characters. Because if Roman was like a Braun Strowman and just tore through people, we would have got bored quick enough. But this was an issue of him taking the title, ironically, from Braun Strowman. Remember that trivia question. But then having one of his cousins come back and then like beat him into submission. Then have the second cousin come back, and it was defiant for a while. They were the titles. They lost the titles to the Mysterios and brought it back. So it became like a show within the show. That's why SmackDown's been solid, because let's be real. Between 825 and 940, there's a lot of filler in SmackDown, but we don't care because Roman starts the show and he ends the show every single week. I do think Roman retains here, and I know that if anyone who will beat him, it will be Seth Rollins. But there's this weird thing happening in WWE where someone just come out the blue and win like that. except for Brock Lesnar. I do if there's a rematch or something that may happen there, but having Seth Rollins come in and beat Roman Reigns at seemingly of a quick thing like day one will probably be the wrong kind of shock and awe they're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, I think I guess I agree with Flobo in this. I think Roman's going to win it, and I think that to your point, as far as dominant, you mentioned Brock Lesnar. I still go back and I just say, Braun Strowman was a big guy, a big name at the time. Bray Wyatt was unbeatable at the time. John Cena, Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens. Finn Balor, the Demon, by the way, Edge. Daniel Bryan, Edge and Daniel Bryan at the same time.
Smacked them.
I don't think there's any one single title reign that you could put together this resume for with the same number like this, where it's not just beating people. He also beat Big E and Drew McIntyre along the way to add on top of that. I think if he loses this title, it's got to be at WrestleMania. I don't think there's any other place he can do it at this point.
Okay. All right. So before that same thing. Yeah. So before we officially move on from WWE and close out with some AEW talk, I would ask SummerSlam 2022. Money in the Bank 2022 live from the Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. Who is the WWE Universal Champion?
I'm gonna say. I'm gonna use the old Tom Brady rule. And what I mean by that is people always say, maybe it's been too long. Maybe I'm going to start betting against Tom Brady. And they always end up hurting themselves. And he always ends up winning again and again and again. I'm going to bet on Roman Reigns because everyone says maybe it's his time. Maybe it's over. Maybe someone's got to beat him eventually. I'm just going to keep betting on him because more times than not, I'm going to be right. I'm going to say Roman Reigns.
So Tom Brady lost last week, right?
I mean, he lost one game. Come on.
He'll be back next year.
He won't. Did you hear him talking today?
We're gonna take this guy that's been winning, who's won 47 Super Bowls in a row, and take one loss and define his career. No way. He'll be back. He'll win again.
All right.
He'll be winning. He'll be winning Super Bowls long after the human race has expired. And
there's no more trophies. It's just gonna
be the floating. He's gonna be the floating head in Futurama.
How does he do it? How?
Tom Brady. It's Tom Brady. Can't bet against him.
Yes.
Death taxes. Can't bet against Tom Brady.
Oh my god.
Flobo.
AJ Styles, man. I think AJ Styles wins his Rumble and takes on Roman at WrestleMania and becomes Universal Champion. Because imagine SmackDown with Fox's presentation with a guy from Gainesville, Georgia, on top, family man. I mean, that's a whole different show. So I'm gonna go with AJ Styles.
Neeson's picking Moxley.
God. Yep. No.
It's Dean Ambrose. Boo.
You know what? Tried and true going into July. At Money in the Bank, who's headlining that, 50, 60,000 seat arena. It has to be Roman Reigns. It has to be. And the only reason I would say it has to be Roman Reigns is because if he wins at Royal Rumble, only other person I could see beating him is Drew McIntyre. And then that'll be them trying to really, really make Drew McIntyre into what they try to do with Seth Rollins, which was the King Slayer, then the Beast Slayer, and then he will be the Tribal Chief Slayer. And I don't know, man. That's the only person. But with him being out, I don't know. I see Roman Reigns holding that title until
forever.
Like Matthew said, The Rock shows up.
By the way, it blows my mind that Money in the Bank has become arena worthy. Like, I'm not saying it's not. I'm just kind of like, wow, you would think that it was quicker, a newer pay-per-view, a huge ass football stadium, Money in the Bank.
But you would think so because it started off at a WrestleMania, right? So it should be the stadium show.
How long has it been going though? It's not as new as we think it is it? I mean, it's been around for a while.
I think WrestleMania 22. No, WrestleMania 22. It was the first one.
Oh no, you're talking about as a pay-per-view?
Oh, it's a pay-per-view. 2010, I think.
Yeah, I mean, so if that's the case, then 12 years until LA Knight. I could see LA Knight.
Man, if Roman gets rolled up by
You're not
LA
the tribal
Knight,
chief, and that's the facts of life.
I love LA Knight, but he wouldn't get through all 3 points before he got Superman punched in the face. You bet.
Roman
LA.
2010.
Wow.
First time.
Roman Reigns' favorite line is "shut up." He should just get that on his that should be his t-shirt. All right, before we get out of here, we have to talk about the promotion across the that loves to stay in the Midwest. For some odd reason, AEW is like, nah, F the West Coast. We don't want to go there. We're gonna stay in the Midwest, the South, and then the East. Even if it's freezing, even if it's below zero. Matter of fact, we're gonna have a special event show called Beach Break, and we're gonna have it in Cleveland, Ohio. Why? Because Cleveland has the best beaches.
Hands down.
Hands down. The same thing the NBA All-Star game said. Pisses me off. So before we talk about Beach Break a little bit, I really want to talk about this. Now, AEW has had, Daniel Bryan and Hangman open the show. They've had all these Daniel Bryan and Kenny Omega open the show. They've had all these big matches open the show and grab you, but their main events really have been lackluster. Do you guys feel that this is the appropriate approach to go, or is this just the signs of a young company and trying to fill out their way and eventually they get there to closing a show strong and make you want to watch next week and not watching your granddad fly off the stage and you're just scared?
I think their shows are ending good. I think the reason they start with these big matches and these things that you're talking about is they follow Big Bang Theory reruns, which sounds like a joke, but they recently came out with their ratings, and Big Bang Theory reruns get ratings similar to Raw. So
yes, they do.
If you look at I'm not a ratings guy, but I work with Wrestling Inc. and they're very ratings driven. So I look at them all the time. When you look at the start of AEW, their ratings for those first 15 minutes are insane because they have the people crossing over. So you want the biggest thing to hook them, to keep them in and make them go, oh, this is cool. I mean, look at the ends of the shows too. I mean, I think Sting and Darby Allin winning a match is a good way to end the show. I think that Sammy Guevara retaining the title is a good way to end the show. I think Jurassic Express winning the tag team titles is a good way to end the show. So, I mean, look, is it as big as Kenny Omega versus Daniel Bryan? No, but I think the idea is to hook them in the beginning and then have them go, oh, I remember Sting or whatever the case is.
But Flobo, what does that do for your world champion?
Yeah, the classic thing is you want to be able to be in the last match, but they also say if you can't be in the last match, be in the first match. Because that's how you set the pace for everyone else. You get to blow up the crowd. Jack is right. AEW doesn't have the luxury of having a 20-minute promo because AEW, as for all the things they've done well, are not an institution. People tune into WWE because it's WWE. When you're the alternative, you don't have that leeway to be like, all right, coming up next, we're having ourselves a matchup, or here are some nice, young, hot, fresh talent, unless that's your entire division trying to promote. So, yeah, I'll give them the fastball down the middle every time I do it. Why the heck not? And plus, they also enforce time limit draws. That kind of enforces them saying, we're going to make sure there's a winner here tonight, which gives people the finale.
They don't have winners, and they don't have winners. And then
that is another thing about
yeah. Just ridiculous.
I'm trying to something still by AEW.
Let's be fair. I'm not a fan of the time limit draw either, but it's not like it happens all the time. It's happened like twice, 3 times. I
mean, just the 2 out of 3 of their biggest matches. But it's
I mean, but this is pro wrestling. I mean, we could look at other companies, and there's a lot more shenanigans going on in matches there as well.
Yeah, you're not wrong. There's always some shenanigans going on, but I can't watch. I cringed that whole main event with Darby Allin and Sting, and only because I care about Sting's livelihood. And it was more so like, and to a point where I was like, I can't watch this. Like, And I stopped watching, and then I cut on the highlight, and he's jumping off the stages, and I'm like, hey man, I get that you feel that you can do that, but I feel that you shouldn't be doing that, so I can't watch this.
Please don't die.
Please don't die. That's a real chant. That like it's not even like a when people get on stop in the cage, like, oh, please don't die. It's like, no, you walked into the ring, Sting. Please don't die.
Well,
Please don't. I'm sincere. And I just feel like, Hangman is such. I feel that they haven't done enough with Hangman as a champion to make him feel bigger than what he is feeling now. So it just shows to me personally the lack of trust that you have in your champion when you could thread him out during the show. It doesn't, the same thing that SmackDown does just as an institution, but they make sure you see Roman at the beginning, you see him in the middle, and then you're damn sure going to see him when those credits roll, right? Like, it's no reason they can't do that with Hangman Adam Page. You see him at the top and he's gone.
That's not their formula, though. If you think about a 2-hour SmackDown with commercials and promos has 25 minutes of wrestling. Like AEW just puts out more matches in turn time. So what would be the sports way of addressing that? I would say is you may have a match that gets breaking up and they rebook it that night, but you can't do that too often either because that becomes a gimmick. So they're kind of, I won't say hamstrung because they have the freedom to do it, but yeah, if I have Hangman Adam Page, who is a new champion after the completion of a story, but there isn't a long line of rogues coming at him quite yet on a personal level, why not just do that? Be like, oh, a champion's fighting, bye. See you later.
I think so. First off, I want to defend Sting here a little bit. I'm a big believer in if someone says they can do it and they're a pro and they've been doing it as long as Sting has, you trust him. If he wants to do it, good on him. Also, I'm just a big Sting fan, so I'll watch him until he's nothing but bones. I'll be like, keep going.
It's gonna be your fault, Jack.
He'll be 140. He'll be 140. I'll be like, Sting.
Yeah, no athlete's like, hey coach, take me out. I'm tired. Never.
Yeah, never.
So that said, though, as far as the Hangman Adam Page thing, the thing about AEW champions is something I've noticed is every time they have a new champion, there's almost like it's like a new chapter of the company or a new story of the company. And I think Adam Page's story and the thing they're doing is unlike Mox, unlike Jericho, unlike Kenny Omega. He's an underdog. Everything you're saying about him not feeling like a champion is what you're supposed to feel about him. He's not the guy that's going to come out there and cut 15-minute promos saying how no one can beat him and he's the greatest of all time. In fact, you kind of see it in his when he comes out and has his nameplate. It says he's the anxious millennial cowboy. And so I think that's the point. And that's why I think his first rivalry, Bryan Danielson, that's still hard to get correct. Bryan Danielson, I worked so hard to learn to call him Daniel Bryan, and now I've got to unlearn it. It's no fair. But I think that's what made that rivalry so important is because he was a favorite. He is one of the best wrestlers of all time. Yeah. He is someone who's tough to beat. And that's why having him as the first guy was so important. And I think now that he's going into Lance Archer, I think is a bit of a Kane. I think he's that guy he'll threaten for the title and then not necessarily win it, but he'll be like the big monster.
Kane got the title.
Archer's washed, man. You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying though. Like the point is he's going to be the big guy that like, oh my gosh, can Adam Page overcome this? And that'll be his story. Can he overcome until he doesn't overcome?
Is anybody thinking, can he overcome Lance Archer? Anybody?
Jungle Boy.
I mean, Lance Archer, I think, is a side quest. I like what Lance Archer is for AEW, but I don't think anyone thinks he's the side quest. He's, with all due respect, he's the Cesaro of the title run.
Don't disrespect Cesaro like that. Lance Archer is the downloadable content that you get about how long has GTA 5 been out? It's like the downloadable content.
Yeah, it came out like 2012.
I think it came out before Lance Archer was born. So, I mean, my point is, I don't think any of us thought that Cesaro was actually going to win the title. We were just excited to see the match. We knew it was going to be good. It was going to do what it does. But we weren't going, wow, he's going to beat Roman Reigns. I don't think anyone thinks that Lance Archer is going to beat Adam Page, but it's going to give Adam Page another notch and start helping to legitimize him. That's at least the way I'm foreseeing it. I could be wrong. Anything could happen. He might lose it next week. I don't know. But that seems to be, if I'm trying to read the tea leaves, what they're doing.
The one thing about the difference between Cesaro and Lance Archer is that they actually gave Cesaro time to show that he is a monster, right? He is a legitimate professional wrestler from the bar, from the tag teams. Like, he was that guy. Lance Archer, unfortunately, as soon as they brought him in, he went for the title and lost. And then he had a mouthpiece with Jake the Snake. Then he wasn't really doing anything in the ring. He never really won. Like, so it's then you have him coming back and just beating on Hangman Adam Page, and we're supposed to be believable that he's an actual contender to the world champion. That does nothing but hurt your world champion. Like, I could see if this is maybe like the third or fourth, or they brought him back and they had him beat, run through a couple of people and then attack him or something like that. But your first time back, you're going against the world champion. It's like, dog, you tried this when you first came over there and you got your ass spanked. Like,
I'm sure Flobo has a lot to say. I'm not saying I agree that the way they had Cesaro build up to that title match, and I think that Cesaro is incredible. I think they had done it way better. I'm just saying it's similar in the sense that this is to give Adam Page another defense on the resume that visually looks like something, but there's not I don't think there's an actual threat. But again, I do agree, Cesaro, the way they built him was incredible. They did a great job there. And I don't know anyone who doesn't like Cesaro. So yeah, right. I think he should be there. But the comparison was more just the threat level more so than the actual wrestlers.
Flobo, anything you want to say on that before we go to our last thing?
I have never seen a less threatening murder hawk in my life. That's all I'm going to say, man. That's just all.
What other murder hawks have you seen?
Right. I think that's the most important question of it all. Like, are you just hanging around a bunch of murder hawks on your off time?
That was cool.
Yeah.
Not too, Lance.
That's the name of his bowling team, the Murder Hawks.
I forgot. Our bowling team was actually called Pinception. Flobo fact.
Bowling, the fact that you're on a bowling team, this is why you're just a Renaissance man. And yeah, man, now I want to beat you in bowling. So 2K first
it's on,
bowling.
brother. It's on.
Are you good, Flobo? Are you a good bowler?
I would say I average like 160, 170. So
no. Neeson, we'll team up. We'll beat you and your partner.
We'll team up.
You're not gonna fake tag me. It's like,
you win.
Yeah. I win. Like we're the tag team champions. We're the tag team champions. All right. So lastly, we did. It's like you did nothing.
2v1.
Beach break in Cleveland. Now we have two matches I really want to talk about. Orange Cassidy versus Adam Cole. Now, we talked about Adam Cole a little bit on the pre-production show about how this man on a microphone could bring anybody to his level. But what I want to talk about, a person that on a microphone going against a ladder match, is good old Cody Rolander Rhodes going against Sammy Guevara. I was about to say Sami Zayn. Sammy Guevara. Now, Cody cut a promo last week talking about how basically, hey, there's a guy in this company that says he was going to do all the things that I actually did. He gave you a pipe bomb and said all these things, but I actually lived out that pipe bomb. I got out and created and opened all these doors for you. So I will never have you guys boo me because I did this for you and you supported me. My question to you, and I will start with you, Flobo.
Yeah.
Who does Cody Rhodes see when he looks in the mirror?
I really think that there is a healthy confidence of, I hate the phrase now, it's overused, but betting on yourself, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he was a son of Dusty, so he was Stardust, and he lived Stardust the best he could. You know what I mean? I mean, you can't deny he made that happen. He goes, you know what? I'm doing this, and being part of what eventually became AEW is history making. But what I understand now is him talking about that and is now getting people upset and people are asking if he's a healer or not. I was like, those seeds have been planted for years. When he smashed that chair, those things for years. When he beat his brother Bully Pulp, yeah, it was a good match, but he had that streak for a long time. So to me, it's him just saying, look, I told you I was a villain in Act 1. Why are you guys booing me now? Which makes it cool. The problem is, though, because Punk is on this other side, if that does not relate to a Punk promo, it just seems like cheap heat. It's like you already had this stuff organically there. You have that. Unless you're going to feud with Punk now, then why would you do that? And so Sammy Guevara was interim champion of a 2-week delay or whatever. And I guess it's supposed to like conjure up interest for Sammy to become the unified, but it's not going to happen because you know that Cody's that good and has to have that prize of us something to come after him for.
Jack, so I would ask you this to that point. Is Cody elevating Sammy, or is he just moving closer to being a top, but not holding the main title star in his own company?
I think Cody Rhodes is one of the most fascinating characters in wrestling right now. And much to Flobo's point, I think this subtle, I've always been this way, but you liked me, but now you don't like me kind of thing is interesting. And I think I love the idea that people say he needs to quote unquote turn, even though I feel like he already has. It's just that we haven't realized it yet. The thing is, though, with it, for me anyways, the thing is with him is sometimes he'll do these little inside wink, wink, nudge, nudge things. We saw it in that promo a lot. And sometimes like, oh, I got that. That's so cool. But then other times like, wait, what? And I'm looking at that promo he recently did that got a lot of buzz. I don't know about you guys, but I felt like I was watching it going, oh, this is so great. Wait, what is he talking about? What's, and there was this weird, like where he'd have me and then he'd lose me. And then I'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about, but the way you're saying it sounds really cool. So I'm kind of into it. But like to Flobo's point, why are you talking about CM Punk right now? Don't you have a title match? And then now you're talking about the Young Bucks versus Red Dragon. What do you like? It felt like all these little pieces of things that were cool, but I have no idea why he was saying it all and how it all came together. And I think a lot of times that's the Cody Rhodes character. Maybe it feels a little bit that Flobo and I've talked about is he feels like a show within a show. And I think it's for that reason, because it's like, I get it. He's a part of the show, but it feels like these little disconnects make it so it feels like he's like his own separate thing. You know,
it's the Go Big show.
Yeah, I mean, well, kind of, but to the point, exactly. Like when he had the match with Shaq, which I know was like a one-off. I get that whole scenario, but the whole time that thing was building up, it felt like this is a separate thing from everything else going on. But that's kind of how did you get that up so fast?
This is my favorite. This is my favorite reaction to things. This is what I put up.
But so it's weird. So it's just hard to say. I like it, but I also feel like I guess it's kind of like when you watch Inception the first time and you're like, I like it, but I don't know if I really got it.
Tenet.
He's very Deadpool. It's like very meta. Like, oh, this is happening over here. It's happening over there. You guys love me, right? Because I'm a wrestler. And it's like, I remember when Triple H did something similar in 2000. What year was it? The year he went to SmackDown. Then I must with the SmackDown. And he was saying things like, I am cutting a promo. Like things like that. It's like, okay, I get it, but what's the end game? Unless it's part of your character, it just seemed very distracting. So am I rooting for Sammy? Do I want someone to take you down? Are you re-acknowledging yourself as on top of the brand? Like, what's this promo mean?
Yeah, it was. It stood out a lot to me too. Like hearing him talk about how kind of taking shots at NXT and shots at CM Punk and shots at or whether or not he's going to turn on the crowd, and then Sammy had to follow it with his cue card saying like, I'm going to win the title. And you're like, this feels like they don't, these two do not feel like they're on the same plane right now, not levels on the card or anything, but it feels like they're just not even connecting right now on what they're supposed to be doing.
Also connecting Brody King with Brody Lee, kind of weird, bro.
Come on, bro.
I wouldn't have done that at all.
Yeah. That was. To your point, Jack. It did feel like and he said it like, "Hey, I was told not to do this." When I first heard the promo live, and I was like, this is very fragmented. It feels like it's unfinished in his head, and he's just spewing it, right?
Mhm.
Because the Royal Rumble chants messed him up. And then when I watched it back, I was like, oh no, this feels like it was planned. This feels like he went out there with his intent was to tell this promo, but to make it seem like he wasn't supposed to tell this promo. Very meta, but I'm breaking the fourth wall sort of thing. But it was so like the promo wasn't done. Like it's still like he didn't run it by. he didn't run it by enough. It wasn't enough. It wasn't oiled up enough. So it just felt very like, okay, I really don't care to see this match. I more so care where is Cody Rhodes the character going to be the week after next.
Right.
I don't really care about the match per se. I care about where's the character going to be. And that kind of sucks because that leaves Sammy in a tough spot. And then that leaves the TNT title in a tough spot. And then that leaves CM Punk in a tough spot because it's like this man, at least CM Punk and Red Dragon in a tough spot. Because you have this man is bringing you up, has nothing to do with you. You're over here trying to hold on to this MJF and feud. And then you're trying to hold on, till Kenny Omega gets back so you can have this super elite explosion, right? So like, this man's just putting fire on you guys and shit, and then Sammy's just like, "Hey guys, what about me?" Hey,
yep, right. With his pre-recorded video sent in that now he's probably watching, going, "What? What?
Yeah,
like I thought you were supposed to talk about our match. Why are you talking about? Why are you talking about Brody King coming in? I don't
got balls.
And my baby is no. Let's not talk about that. All right, so
cringe.
Yep. You know what, guys? Look, it's been fun. We went over time, but I had to because I had to talk about this beach break, and I had to talk about this lovely Royal Rumble that's happening Saturday. So before we get out of here, I want to give you your chance to plug your stuff again and tell us where they can find you and tell us all the things you have going on. It is your time, Jack Farmer. Take it away, please.
Yes, my name is Jack. You can find me at Real Jack Farmer across all social media.
Play them off.
I didn't even get started, but you can also check me out on the MACKMANIA podcast every Tuesday this week with Flobo, me, and Evan Mack. We just chatted to Bobby Lashley and Sam Roberts. You can also check me out on the Evolution of Movies show where we talk about different movies. You can also check me out on Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. You can also check me out at Santino Brothers. We got a show coming up here in LA on February 19th called The Return of the King featuring Brody King.
Neeson, what are you doing? That sounds like he's like a weather report. We're here live outside with the wind blowing bars.
I feel like someone's trying to meditate and I'm yelling at them about my project.
Before we get to the promos, I just want to say, even though the Lights Out match is probably the biggest deal because Lights Out's like a brand.
Yes.
I think I'm looking forward to, please don't kill me for this, it has to be Layla Hirsch versus Red Velvet. Because both of those girls need wins. We're talking about the whole diversity issue in AEW, the Layla Hirsch issue in AEW. If you got a chance, I think that one would be one to watch. I will watch. But play my music.
I was trying to kill you. Sorry.
Me, bro. You don't like ladies wrestling in AEW? Go ahead, Ethan.
I don't like you gathering all the murder hawks.
That's what I was trying to call him for. Hey, look, guys, it's time. It's time.
Play my music.
All right. Sorry.
It's your boy Flobito. My book, Graduation Date's available on Amazon. Make sure to pick up a copy if you want to know how it is to be an adult. But like Jack said, Draped in Gold every Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Pacific. And don't forget, MACKMANIA drops every Tuesday. Bobby Lashley was the delight. Sam Roberts, he was all right too, man. He got into it about Edge. It's a whole big deal. Check it out, MACKMANIA this week. And I'm at a rave somehow. What is going on?
All right. All right, guys.
Off the rails, I love it.
Yeah, this is why I'm not the professional one usually on the show. It is Pingle. He is the professional one, but he's not here, so I can act an ass. Guys, you know where you can find us. That is THS.wrestling on Instagram. YouTube, it is that hashtag show TV. Twitch, it is that hashtag show. Or you could follow moi at StayFlyLife on Instagram and at YRF Squad on the Twitter. But most importantly, you could tune into that hashtag show for everything trending in geek pop culture as I play some music to end us out on. Yeah. Oh, they done messed up and gave us music, ladies and gentlemen. I'm about to talk. The people.
Okay. Submitted it, yeah.
The docile tones of Neeson is signing y'all out right now. I'm gonna go ahead and get my bowling ball so I could beat Flobo and his Murder Hog gang.
You gonna maybe in bowling? You wasting your time.
I would definitely beat him.
You was
in
wasting your
bowling.
time.
Yeah, you can't beat us.
Did you just hop teams now?
It was me. All
right. Bye, Nixon. Bye.
She doesn't.
Bye, Nixon.